What's up? What's up? What's up? And thank you for tuning in to the Skol State of Mind podcast. Now, let's just get right into it because I know you've seen the title, I know you saw the thumbnail, and you're probably wondering what the hell is he talking about? We know damn well who's making all the decisions with the Minnesota Vikings. I beg to differ because if you've been following this team for the past couple of days, it's been a lot of infighting. It's been beat reporters saying this, beat reporters saying that. Everybody trying to spin a narrative of what's really going on with the Minnesota Vikings, basically pointing the finger of who's to blame and everything like that. I mean, that's expected when you have a team that's basically 4-8 and falling short of expectations. But let's get back to it. So the reason why I asked this question is because I know damn well there's other things going on, up in Minnesota right now. I can tell. I really can. And I'm putting this video together because I want you guys to look at things a little bit different. I'm trying to put this video together so basically it can help you think about it from a different perspective of what's really going on with this team. Because I think it's a tug of war going on that's not being talked about enough, right? So with that being said, I'm gonna give y'all guys a quick history lesson on the Minnesota Vikings real quick. Then I'm gonna tie everything in, and I guarantee this is a video you shouldn't miss. This is something that a lot of us Viking fans should be talking about. So let's get into it. So back in the day, the Minnesota Vikings had this thing called the Triangle of Authority. This is what the Wilfs brought in after they bought the team, right? So I'm gonna break it down to you guys what that was. Because if you've been following the team, I would say for 10 years or whatever, the Triangle of Authority was basically abolished in 2012. But I'm gonna let you know what that was about back in the day. All right. The primary responsibility of the Triangle of Authority was to collaborate on all major football related decisions. Now, y'all see that right there. Y'all see that word? Collaborate. That's a word that's been floated around the Minnesota Vikings for the past 3 seasons, basically since Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell got hired. Is we gonna collaborate on this? We gonna collaborate on that? So mind you, this is basically the mission statement of what the Triangle Authority was. So let's keep reading. Okay, those concerning player acquisitions, contracts, and overall team roster. The structure was built on the idea of shared decision making, which was often criticized for leading to a lack of clear accountability. Y'all see that? Shared decision making. That's basically collaboration, right? So you've been following this team, watching the press conference or whatever. You will basically hear some of this basically verbiage about being shared with the decision making, shared decision making when it comes to the draft or bringing this player in or whatever. It's been a whole collaborative thing, right? That's why I'm bringing this up. So let's keep going. So here are the members of the Triangle of Authority, right? You had at the time, this is at the time when this was in place, all right? Follow me. You had the vice president of player personnel, that was Rick Spielman. His job, this was his responsibilities. He was responsible for scouting, drafting, and managing the college and pro personnel department. Okay, that's Rick. Now, the head coach, at the time it was Brad Childress, and later on it was Lazy Freshman, right? The head coach has significant input on personnel moves and the final say on some decisions related to the roster and the coaching staff. So basically that means is the coach had full say on what's going to be done on the field, full say on the 53-man roster, on his coaches, and other things. Basically, everything he's going to be using on the field, that's what the coach had authority over. And it's probably he had authority on the training staff also. So we're just going to put that in there. And the third person was Vice President of Football Operations, Rob Brzezinski. Y'all know who Rob is. Rob is the cap guy now, right? So his role was the salary cap management and facilitating critical programming and for annual football events such as NFL Combine and the draft. So basically, he was like the event coordinator, basically. put stuff on, shit like that, right? So let's get back to it. So with that being said, now y'all know what the triangle of authority looks like, right? So let's get back to it. Who's really making decisions for the Minnesota Vikings? Now, this is how I'm going to tie this in. Y'all remember at the beginning of the year, right after the Vikings lost in the playoffs against the LA Rams, right? Kevin O'Connell got his contract extension in January, guys, in January, right? So he was basically going on interviews and doing press conferences. One of the main things Kevin O'Connell said during those contract, extension talks was he wanted more control of the team. He wanted more input. That's what he said. I want y'all to go back, look at it. That's what he said, right? Now, it took Kwesi a long time. He didn't get his contract extension till May, basically, right? Pretty much mid-year, right? That's when he finally got his. They both got, I would say, 3 to 4 years, whatever, right? This is why this shit is interesting. Kevin O'Connell in the media told people that he wanted more control of the team. I think this is what happened. I think Kevin O'Connell went to the Wilfs. Hey, I'm coming off a 14-game winning season. The only reason why I didn't win a year before because we had, quarterbacks go down and we couldn't get it done. But I have a 13-win season. And the Wilfs was like, okay, cool. And he was like, well, if I'm going to sign a multi-year deal, I want more control over the roster. I want this and that, which in turn went back to the triangle of authority. Y'all follow me here? Y'all get what I'm saying? I just really want y'all to follow me. I'm not trying to go too fast, right? So I think once Kwesi got word that Kevin O'Connell was going to have more input of the team, which is normal. Sometimes a coach should have certain input with the team, but he was going to get more input of the team than he already had prior. So Kwesi probably was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to sign here or whatever. That's what took so long with Kwesi's contract, because he knew some of his role was going to be passed over to Kevin O'Connell and the coaches, because that's what Kevin O'Connell asked for, right? So let's go right back to when the Vikings lost against the Rams one more time. His initial press conference after that loss was this: we need to do better in the interior of the offensive line, right? That's what he said. Go look it up. And what was some of the major moves that the Vikings did in the offseason to make this team better? They revamped their whole interior offensive line. They signed Will Fries, they signed Ryan Kelly, and they drafted Donovan Jackson, right? Now, this is probably why, I just been looking at this for a while. You feel me? And this is why I'd be like, okay, it's quick to blame Kwesi, but I think this is what's happening with the Minnesota Vikings. And I think this is why Kevin O'Connell has been testy, why he's been a little rattled. And if you've seen the press conference for the past 2 days, he's basically said he's ready to change the way he's been, calling his play structure, just to fit the quarterback, something he should have did pretty much a couple of weeks ago, because season's basically over. It's only a couple of games left, and now he wants to change it to tailor what the young quarterback going to do. I have a theory. I think Kevin O'Connell did get more say-so with the team. And in turn, he got what he wanted in the offseason. He got everything he wanted in the offseason, right? Kwesi still did his thing with the draft and, player personnel, whatever, stuff like that, right? Rob Brzezinski did the contracts, cool. But Kevin O'Connell was the one making the decisions on a 53-man roster, because that's probably what he wanted. Sometimes you get what you ask for. And now the team is struggling. And now I will say the Wilfs is holding Kevin O'Connell's feet to the fire, are basically saying, yo, bro, you wanted this responsibility and you wanted more say-so. And now we're stuck with a 4-8 team. Because if you notice things, right, look at what's been happening with players getting cut, or coming off the practice squad. Now, the job of a general manager is to structure the team evenly, right? You got to have a certain amount of defensive players, special teams, and offensive players, right? Look at the move that the Vikings made when they took Ryan Kelly basically off of IR and brought him back to the 53-man roster. They got rid of a defensive player, right? That's weird, ain't it? I mean, I'm telling you, these moves that the Vikings have been making that been head scratchers are moves that Kevin O'Connell is making because they don't really make no sense from a GM point of view. And from a GM point of view, why would you cut a defensive player just to make way for a, center when you could have basically cut somebody else, on that side of the ball just to keep it even? Something to think about, y'all. That's all I'm trying to say. I ain't trying to sway y'all opinions, nothing like that. I just really want you guys to think about something because if you go back and you follow this team, Kevin O'Connell said he wanted more control. I think he got it. And now that the team is losing, they want to point blame at everybody else. And I think Kwesi is basically sitting back like, yo, this is your thing, man. This is what you wanted. You wanted X, Y, and Z, and you got it, and you failed to succeed. So therefore, you in the hot seat, and by him being in the hot seat, he's bringing everybody else down with him. And it's weird though, right? Because one of the biggest issues right now with the Vikings is the quarterback situation, right? Like Kevin O'Connell has done weird shit. Why, when Sam Darnold signs with the Seattle Seahawks, he calls the GM and tells him, "Oh, you're getting a good leader." Why would you do that? Like, why would you? That makes no sense. Because I'm telling you, these moves are being made by Kevin O'Connell. Now, when we talk about the quarterback with Sam Darnold, I think this is when the rift actually started. Because I think Kevin O'Connell was like, yo, I'm getting more say-so with the team, but the one thing I want to do is I might want to bring Sam back, on a 2-3 year deal or whatever, because we had a 14th season. Kwesi did the same thing he did with Kirk Cousins. No, we already drafted a quarterback. You are supposed to develop a quarterback, so that's the game plan. Let's not deviate from what the plan was. And Kevin was like, I just really want to win with Sam. Makes sense though, right? Makes sense. Y'all got to think about it from that point of view. Right? So that's when the rift started. But Kwesi still went out there and did a couple of moves because I bet the Wilfs was like, well, Kevin O'Connell is going to be doing this now and have more control. Just do what he asks to do. If he wants to do this, just do what he asks. Here we are. And let's get right. I'm going to bring this up one more time. One more time. The triangle of authority, right? Head coach, significant input on personnel moves and the final say on some decisions related to the roster and the coaching staff. Mind you, we feel like Matt Daniels, the special teams, coordinator, should have been fired weeks ago. Kwesi probably can't make that decision anymore. We ask all the time, why the hell is Wes Phillips even on this team? What does he do as offensive coordinator? Kwesi probably can't step in and say anything about it because Kevin O'Connell has the final say-so on that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's just something to think about, y'all. It's just something to think about because this team probably won't win another game this season. Let's hope they win a game against the Commanders on Sunday. Let's hope so. So maybe they can get 5 wins. But there's no playoffs this year. Everything that was basically hyped up in the media kind of fell short, right? It's like I made the video last week, right? When everybody was talking about all the hype with Max Brosman. That's Kevin O'Connell putting that kind of shit out to the media. That's not Kwesi. Who is the one person on this team who has the most to lose by pumping themselves up, right? Kwesi already know damn well he hasn't had any good drafts. A couple of misses here, no more misses here and there, and a couple of good players. He already knows what he needs to work on. Why, when the Vikings went to Max Brosmer last week, you had so much reports coming from the Viking organization about, oh, he looks good in practice. The ball hasn't hit the ground. He's a leader. That's Kevin O'Connell pumping that shit up to the media because he knew damn well he oversold what was going on with J.J. McCarthy. That's on him. That's what people do when they know they're on the hot seat. When they know, management has stepped down and start asking questions. Let me try to sprinkle this stuff out real quick so make Brosmer look good. So basically, if he plays well, I can be like, all right, we back on track. But that shit backfired. And throughout this whole situation with the team being this bad, you only heard from Kwesi once. And that was yesterday when he basically made a statement about Adam Thielen's release. And then Kevin O'Connell went on a press conference and had a long spill about it. I'm telling y'all, I'm not trying to make this stuff up. I'm not trying to slide y'all opinions, but I'm saying we have to start looking at this situation through a different perspective. Kevin O'Connell asked for more control and more responsibility to the team. He got it. Now look. Look at where we at. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what this team does, in the next couple of weeks, who gets, canned or who comes back next year. It's going to be really interesting. But the stuff I'm waiting to hear is I'm waiting to hear who was actually making these decisions, who wanted to do this and who wanted to do that. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. That's all I got for y'all. I just really wanted to get on here and spill my 2 cents real quick. So y'all know how I end it.